Since Harry Potter Magic Awakened is a game that has various cards and combos, it's impossible to arrange those cards by tier. Because one card can be useless when used with another card, but it can be more useful when paired with another card, like Oppugno with Broomstick. Also, every card has a counter, and it can even be a less used card. So it's like you can't just tell people that whoopers are S-tier cards, since there are Confringo, Sectumsempra, and others that can counter them. Furthermore, in Chinese server can only tell you how much is picked and win rate if picked only. Then, in this video, we will have some discussion on echoes and what their tiers are in various categories instead. First, let's take a look at Hermione's Echoes, which are always meta and easy to use in every season in various modes like PvP and PvE, resulting in many spell cards like Thunderstorm, Orb of Water, and Weasley's Whiz Bang getting banned. By the way, sometimes her popularity gets knocked down by summoning cards, since her weakness is a high hearth point or too many units in a field at once. Along with how poorly you calculate your skill, it can lead you to lose. Anyway, you can take her in any mode: boss fight, unsupported unit stage, and mainline game event too. Then for Hermione, she will have Tier S on PvP, Tier S on PvE, and Tier A on events. Harry Potter's Echoes' strengths rely on card level. For how he can use less mana but do high damage, he can continuously attack opponents, especially with bewitched snowballs that can cause huge amounts of damage depending on how far they can go, while he can use the three-headed puppy to tank in the middle of the match. Like Hermione, every miss costs you a winning chance, and even if you pick Incendio, he can't manage to clear all units by himself. One target can suffer only once. That means he is not likely to be paired with PvE or various events. Harry will have Tier S in PvP, Tier B in PvE, and Tier A in events. Dobby's Echoes ability can go with many cards, whether it's Avada Kedavra, Bludger, or Taboo. Most skilled players can give you a hard time attacking them when they can dodge every spell hit while waiting for mana to use it as a counterback. But if he gets CC, can't get rid of units properly, or gets attacked after teleporting, that can be a very dangerous and common risk of this Echo. In almost all PvE and events, the area is limited, and teleporting can reduce the damage that is supposed to be done. Also, in mainline events, there will usually be a teleport buff to use instead of him. Dobby will have Tier S in PvP, Tier B in PvE, and Tier A in events. Hagrid mostly uses his minions as his army, only using a few spells to support the most mana cost units, which usually are Fiendfire, Pietotum Locomotor, Antipodean Opaliers, and the stack of monster books of monsters. This means you need to be more careful with how you summon them, since they can all be clear at once, and you will have nothing to defend yourself against. You need to heal, buff, or choose to lose. He will have a difficult situation when faced with the Camper Deck type, because you wouldn't get rid of units on the field that continuously heal and pop up, especially if the opponent uses Crucio to kill your relying unit. In PvE and events, Hagrid is not capable of boss fighting or requiring stage rules because of his low damage per second. Hagrid will have Tier S in PvP, Tier B in PvE, and Tier B in events. NEWT is the easiest echo to use. It's even for newbie players who learn how to summon units by just spamming to randomly receive buffs. Irrumpent, Thunderbird or Taboo will stomp on an opponent that didn't properly prepare. NEWT usually has problems with burst damage decks. Because most of his units have low health, if he gets countered, it's definitely going to take time to build against an opponent again and lose. For PvE and events, he can still make it out, but he's still not that fine with bosses. NEWT will have Tier A in PvP, Tier A in PvE, and Tier A in events. The main purpose of Bellatrix is to attack players and summon Death Eater as soon as possible. More speed means more advantage. So, most players take a risk by charging forward at the beginning, and all of the units will be your tank and stat collectors. After you gather enough points, you can use the Broomstick to summon the Death Eater in an enemy area and reduce the chance of their death before even attacking opponent. But she has weaknesses in clearing spells like Confringo and Sectumsempra. You need to be careful before taking action. She is still a good choice for fighting against players and some particular events. Bellatrix will have Tier S in PvP, Tier B in PvE, and Tier A in events. SNAPE Echoes has a few players playing on the global and even Chinese versions because of how it requires skill to master by normal attack, Sectumsempra, and buffed with Kevin. What is spectacular about this deck is that it can clear units at the same or a little higher level. But there's a problem if you meet with the entire spell deck. It's hard to collect stacks for Kevin, and he even dies before full mark. By the way, PvE and events are actually easier to play than other echoes. SNAPE will have Tier A in PvP, Tier A in PvE, and Tier B in events. Neville is the healing master. If the opponent lets him set up the camping unit, there are high chance to win by 100%. Because of his healing, keep him alive while packing up with a Dragon Egg, Unicorn, or Whomping Willow. By that, it means the setup will crumble if the opponent has anti-camping spells like Acromantula Venom or Howler because his mana cost is high, and what he can do after that is only helplessly defend himself without counterback. Neither PvE nor events, except some particular ones, made his healing useless since the stage only needed DPS to clear. Neville will have Tier A in PvP, Tier B in PvE, and Tier B in events. Weasley's Twin is a deck that can summon 3 more companions, and is presently famous in Chinese rank due to how table-turning it is in the endgame. Sometimes it even gets banned in high-ranked matches. Since more summons are just randomly generated, there is a chance that your companions are not useful in some situations, like how I ever got 3 Cassandras to face a spell deck opponent, and those were so disadvantageous. Weasley's Twin will have Tier A in PvP, Tier B in PvE, and Tier B in events. The deck of Luna is mostly a spell deck that acquires stacks to get random balance buffs to multiply units for defending or attacking. And even with her ultimate, the Thestral does a seriously huge amount of damage. Her weakness is when opponents use Expelliarmus on the Chinese version, which has a debuff to shuffle all cards in hand, or all her skills need too much accuracy. Don't worry, you can bring her to everywhere, PvP, PvE, boss fight, and event without a problem. Luna will have Tier A in PvP, Tier A in PvE, and Tier A in events. Ron is the mixed type deck that has a lot of damage when he receives all the buffs that he needs. Because of him, in the present, every prayer needs to bring the side-along apparition card in their deck. His weakness is about luck. If it doesn't give him horse piece buffs, he will have a hard time getting rid of all incoming units before he dies. Ron is well suited to be in PvE, or an event since he can use just one stacked buff to fight against, but he is not that good with boss fights. Ron will have Tier S in PvP, Tier B in PvE, and Tier A in events. Professor Flitwick's deck is the true definition of skill-based players. Usually play Ashwinder with Dumbledore to get a high advantage. If you can manage to master this deck, even 1 versus 2 is possible, because his movement card is much more and can copy enemy spells to use as double time when the opponent's deck is full of spells. His weakness is how he needs to use cards in order. If he gets forced to break the Ashwinder combo, there's a high chance of losing because it's his Joker. Anyway, in PvE and events, he is totally ruined by his poorly slow damage. Flitwick will have Tier S in PvP, Tier B in PvE, and Tier B in events. GINNY can apply a lot of pain to your enemy, clearing units with high speed, and can fight with every type of deck. She just needs some movement and a time tuner to boost her broom attack gauge speed. For high damage trades with risking your life, you need to get closer to the player. If you are poorly calculated on attack range and gauge, it will be your way to defeat. Luckily, you can take her everywhere you want. Her damage is enough for PvE and events, and she can also dodge incoming damage too. GINNY will have Tier S in PvP, Tier S in PvE, and Tier B in events. And here are our last Echoes, Sirius Black. This Echoes is strongest in the way it boosts units and teammates. At first, this Echoes is not so famous, but when the player starts seeking the challenge and doesn't want to go along with meta, so this deck is starting to shine. Like a common summoner's problem, this deck needs mana to spend. When you try to take care of your unit, sometimes clearing spells can be your doom. For PvE and events with groups of friends, it can be boosting and faster to clear the stage. Sirius Black will have Tier A in PvP, Tier S in PvE, and Tier A in events. After all of this tiering, I hope it helps you find what you want to use and what you desire in mode. Remember that every deck also has a counter to make the game more balanced. Also in this video, there can be some changes in the future in accordance with buffs or nerfs, but I'm sure that the tier will not change a little bit. I hope you love our dedicated content. If you find it useful and nice, please like, subscribe, and share it for the impetus to make more videos. Thanks for watching.